Hello there, amazing mompreneur. Welcome back to another episode of Making of a Mompreneur Show, where we empower, inspire, and uplift moms on their entrepreneurial journey. I'm your host, Rasheeda Green, and today's episode is all about you, your self love, your marriage, and how essential self care is for wives and busy moms like us. Now, let's be real. We juggle a million things every single day, our businesses, our homes, our kids, and our relationships. But in all that juggling, where do we place ourselves? How often do we stop and think about the love and care we need to pour back into ourselves to keep everything running smoothly? Today, we're diving into the beautiful balance of self love and marital bliss. We'll explore practical ways to nurture your relationship while also taking care of the most important person in your life, you. We've got an incredible guest joining us who's going to shed light on this topic and share some transformative insights that you don't want to miss. But first, grab your pen, pencil, paper, digital device, your cup of coffee, tea, get comfy, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I am so glad to see you here with us today and hoping that you are feeling refreshed and ready to dive into the heart of today's topic, self-love and marital bliss, essential self-care for wives and busy moms. I'm Rasheeda Green, the founder and CEO of Get Coaching, the host of this wonderful Mompreneur HQ community, and the creator of the Digimompreneur Academy. And I am beyond excited to introduce you to our special guest, Miss Suzette Gaines, the brilliant mind and compassionate heart behind Centered on Love. Suzette is a dedicated marriage and relationship coach with over 15 years of experience helping couples, singles, and those on a journey of self healing to build stronger, more loving relationships. Suzette brings a wealth of knowledge and experience, not just as a coach, but as a wife of her high school sweetheart, y'all, and a proud mom of three adult children. Her philosophy centers around the importance of self love, and today she's here to share how we all can embrace that love within ourselves to create the marital bliss we deserve. Now, if you are joining us live, I want you to make sure that you drop live, hashtag live in the comments below. Or if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. Let us know where you are joining us from. We love to see how far and wide the Mompreneur HQ community goes. And then I also want you to stay until the end because our guest has a special treat for you, our viewers today. And Suzette is offering one lovely married couple a free coaching session to help them reignite the spark in their relationship. So, without further ado, let's welcome our special guest, Suzette Gaines, to the show.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Yes, yes, I'm doing well. Thank you so much. I'm glad to have you on this show with us today as we talk about self love and marital bliss. I am so glad that you are coming with the level of experience that you're coming with today to be able to share with our audience how we, as busy moms and entrepreneurs and wives, can not be selfish because self love is not selfish, but how we can actually show ourselves some love in those times when we, get overwhelmed with everything else that is going on in the world. So, Suzette, tell us a little bit about you and who you are.
As you've already said, you said my name, and I'm married to my high school sweetheart, and we do have three adult children. Our youngest is still at home trying to finish out college. Our son is our youngest, so he's still here with us. Claims he's never leaving, but we know that will change. But he's still here with us. But he's our only son, so we call him our favorite son. So because he's our only one. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty much just a family of five. We have a little nickname of G5. We call ourselves G5. Having three kids has definitely been a challenge through the years, but with God's grace, I've been able to manage through it, and with the help of my husband, and our kids weren't that bad. It wasn't as hard as a lot of people say it is, but at the same time, there were struggles along the way.
Understood, understood. And since we have a community of mom entrepreneurs, I'm sure that many of us can relate. I only have two girls, and that's enough. So I can imagine two girls and that one little boy by himself, but that's okay because he helped your husband to not be the only man in the house. So
Yes.
wonderful. So you've been 15 years in marriage counseling and well, in marriage relationships. Tell us how you got started because I do know that Centered of Love is a new business for you, right? So
Hmm.
how did Centered of Love come centered on love become what it is today?
I mean, essentially, it started as an idea. I mean, initially, I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. That took up the bulk of my time. But during all of that time, I was always having friends or family members reach out and want to talk or need advice on their relationships, their marriages, and it was something that came naturally to me. I never really thought that it could be turned into a business because a lot of times women are so busy. We're moms, we're wives, we're just adding it along with everything else that we do. We're not really thinking about it, just being there for our friends, being there for our family. But eventually it got to the point where I was like, I put it in some prayer because I am a woman of faith. And I say, God, what should I do with this thing? And that's where the name Centered on Love kind of came from because essentially in marriage and as a mom, I mean, everything that we do is pretty much coming from love. At least that's where we try to, allow it to come from. We do get frustrated at times, but
Mm-hmm.
that's where essentially everything is coming from. So that's where the name Centered on Love came from. And it's just, being a wife first and then being a mom. As a wife, you're challenged with, okay, you had your own identity and then you move into being a mom and you have one, you have two, you have three, and life just kind of keeps rolling, and life can life a lot of times, but you just have to kind of stick in there and make sure that you're pretty much just staying true to your core values of what believe in your heart.
I love that. I love that. And believing what's in your heart is centered on love, right? I love how you put that together and how you talked about how it came about. You were already doing this, but even though you were already doing this, you didn't make the decision to just start a business. You went into prayer and sought the Lord on the decision to move forward. So that is also something awesome that we definitely encourage here as part of the Mompreneur HQ. We are Christian based because I am Christian, and we like to definitely share those Christian values that with us. Hopefully, will encourage someone else to, step out on faith. They may be thinking about the same thing, or maybe thinking about trying to start their own business in another branch of business, or just really multitasking as we do, finding something else that might work better for us, but not really knowing what to do or what those next steps are going to be. Then again, just really stretching out beyond yourself, asking the Lord for help and direction, sitting, waiting, and listening for those directions, and then going out, and in faith to be able to start your own business. So, as a new business owner in this realm, what are some of the things that you would say or share that might be an encouragement to someone else just starting out in their business?
I'm going to piggyback off of what you said about faith, but anything that we do, we have to include God. I mean, we have to put him in the forefront of anything that we're thinking that we should do because, sometimes we have a way that seems right to us, but God may have other plans. So you
Right.
definitely got to put it in prayer and seek God about, okay, is this something that you've called me to do, or is this just something that I'm gifted at? Because, there's going to be ups and downs. I didn't know at first that this was something that I was called to. I was just thinking, oh, it's just something that I'm doing. But I realized that it was a call that he put on me to really help and really to, give advice, not so much advice, but be an advocate and kind of help people put a plan together when they get in those struggles and show a different perspective because, you know, two becoming one flesh is not an easy thing. So just that alone, but for anyone who's thinking about, trying to become an entrepreneur or trying to, have an idea, definitely seek God first and make sure that he's in your business plan. I often put on social media that prayer is a part of my business plan, because without that, I can't just go off of what I know, because depending on my ups and downs, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have them. So I can't just go off of how I'm feeling, or, what's going on in my life. I depend on God to really guide me as far as what would he have me to say. Sometimes what he would have me to post on social media, because when you're becoming going into entrepreneurship, you're pretty much branding yourself, because people don't know you. So, beyond prayer, you got to think about, people will say, well, you need a business plan, which is true, but you got to think about strategy on the audience that you want to reach, how you're going to reach them, what you're going to use to reach them, whether or not it's going to be effective. And, maybe use your family and friends to kind of bounce some ideas off of. Those that are pretty much tell you the truth, that would be helpful, instead of just have a business idea. So I just want to go out there and do it. And you have no idea of even what you're saying or how you say it, how you look, you don't even know if it looks good. So you got to really, it would be good to, use your family and friends that will really tell you the truth about the idea, after praying about it, of course, but, bounce it off of them. And if you need to do a presentation in front of them, do that. But I mean, definitely use them before you want to put it out to the world. The social media can be harsh. And if you put something out there, people are going to pretty much feel like they're going to tell you what they think. So definitely get in front of people and let them hear your idea. Get in front of truthful people, not just yes people, because you don't need yes people as an entrepreneur. You need people who's going to tell you the truth. Be like, no, girl, that don't sound good. You need people that's going to say that to you.
Right. You
So that
absolutely
way you don't get out there and be like, oh, I thought it was a good idea. But just because it's good to us doesn't mean it's going to be good to everybody else.
right.
So definitely prayer, and put that idea before other people that you trust.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that tip. Again, if y'all have any comments, make sure you drop those comments in the comment field. We will not leave any question unanswered. We would love to hear your feedback and responses to what we're talking about today. And if you get a good nugget, go ahead and put hashtag nugget that you got a nugget from this session on today. All right. So we're talking about marriage, and you're talking about faith, because marriage is really a faith-based concept. Even though it's been made into something else, it is based on Jesus, God, and the God of his father God, who created this whole concept of marriage. And so when we're talking about marriage, sometimes we get this idea socially. Some people will say that, you're coming into a marriage 50-50, or, oh, when you get married, some people say, oh, you complete me. And that is cliche, right? Because the truth is that you have to love yourself before somebody else can love you. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself challenged in that relationship. Can you talk to us about being 100% in love with yourself?
I think it's really important that you have to love yourself first. And for a lot of people, it can be a journey. They would say, well, what does that really mean to love yourself? I mean, because as little girls, you grow up, and either, you may have been a tomboy, you played with Barbies, or whatever you did growing up. Nobody can really, I know most, the era that I grew up in a single family home. I wasn't being taught how to love me. My mom was working, trying to provide. So I think the first step to self love is, especially if you're, an adult by now and you're trying to figure it out, one of the best thing would be to do is, when you're in the mirror, whether you're washing your face, getting dressed, or whatever, go ahead and look at all of those flaws. Look at, if you have acne or pimples or stretch marks, whatever it is, just look at them and love, and just learn to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, nobody can't give you that. You have to fall, and not only just love yourself, but fall in love with yourself. Fall in love with your flaws, everything that you think, oh, because when we look at ourselves, we're going to pick ourselves apart. I know I do. I'm my worst critic. Even getting ready for this today, I was fixing and doing and going back and doing stuff. But, you have to learn to love who God made you to be. And if you don't like what you see, make a plan to change it if it can be changed. But even in that process, you got to learn to just trust yourself and trust the process and love yourself through it. I mean, because self-love is all about seeing, what God created, seeing who you are, and just learn to fall in love with yourself. It is a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is something that, we all have to learn how to do for ourselves, and it's really important in marriage, but in relationships, because you can't depend on others to show you who you are, tell you who you are, or teach you how to love you. Find out who you are, spend some time with yourself in meditation, or reading your word or just listening to some, soothing music or whatever. And you have to learn how to just spend time with getting to know who you are, especially as a wife and a mother, because we're giving out to everybody else.
That part. Yeah, I was just about to say, as moms, we tend to struggle with self love because we are so busy focusing on everyone else.
Yeah.
And, inside, conversation that I probably shouldn't share, but I share. But, the other day, I spent like all day cleaning my youngest daughter closet room. I mean, down to the drawer, the dresser, the everything, the closets, the toys. I even got rid of the dollhouse that became like the hide and go seek spot for all the dolls and toys that they have. I just said, you know what, put it on the curb. We don't need it anymore. That's it. We're not going to use this as no toy stash. And just really cleaned up. And then I told my oldest, I said, now is your turn because you got to clean up this room. And then my youngest, because they have no coof, they no chill. They just, going to say what they're going to say because they don't know that maybe that's not the best thing to say. She said, Mommy, your dress is messy. It's like, oh.
No, you
And
didn't.
then my response was, yes, it is. Because I'm always putting you before me. Where I don't want you to get to the place where your dresser is so unbearable. So I want to make sure that I help you to get what you need to get done so that your dresser doesn't get out of hand. So no, my dress is not the best, but guess whose dress is nice? Yours. And why is it? Because I did it.
That's
I
right.
am selfless in that sense as a mom that I put your things, making sure that your things is right, making sure your clothes are washed. Sometimes I do that ahead of my own self. And so that's me admitting to, self love. It looks different for everybody. But the fact that she brought it out and put it in my face, and I was like, oh, no, you didn't.
Right.
But it was just the example for what we're talking about tonight, not necessarily all self-love, but the point about putting other priorities before my own things. Yeah, thank you for sharing that because we do get tied up in stuff, doing stuff for everybody else. And when we talk about, analogies and having an empty cup, right? We can't pour from empty cup. You can't expect the whole 16-ounce beverage to come out of an empty cup. It's empty. So we have to continually fill ourselves. And you mentioned that, being able to love yourself. How can being fully in love with yourself influence the way that you show up in your marriage and for your family?
Well, I think being fully in love with yourself, it begins to show up in your marriage and your family because it breeds confidence. The more you are in love with yourself, the more you're going to show up more confident. You'll pull yourself together a little bit more. You may put on a little bit more makeup or begin to explore wearing brighter colors or, clothes that fit you when you, excuse me, when you get comfortable with your body instead of wearing oversized things and try to hide, stuff. I'm a person where God gave me curves and I'm not covering them up for anybody. So I can be saved and sexy at the same time and still covered up.
Yes.
So I mean, that self-love journey, it will show up in your marriage, especially if you have children, if you have daughters, especially, they're going to model after you. Kids are going to do more of what you do more than what you say. And they're going to remember that. And we have a son and he's older now. And I think about him dating and what is he going to go after and what is he going to be interested in, because I am who I am and I care about myself and I wear perfume and my feet ain't ashy and my toes are always done and stuff like that. That self-love begins to show up and how you present yourself matters because what people see shows up in the room before you open your mouth. You want to make sure that you're pulling yourself together as much as possible. You don't have to be glamorous, and makeup isn't for everybody, but lotion, Vaseline, basic things. What I mean?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Just basic things that you can do to kind of, show up for your family. And I mean, as far as, in your marriage, what husband doesn't want his wife to look well? What husband, doesn't want to be the talk for a good reason, but oh, did you see his wife? She's so pretty. And, then when she opens her mouth, she actually has something to say. I mean, it would show up in your marriage as confidence. Every husband, would love a confident wife. I'm a firm believer that confidence is the best thing that you can put on every day, besides makeup or anything else. Because I don't wear makeup on a daily basis, but, I wear confidence. And that will shine brighter a lot of times than, makeup or anything like that. But don't get me wrong now. some lip gloss, a little mascara. Let's put his hair together, put some jewelry on. I mean, it's definitely things that we can do to enhance ourselves, because that shows that we love ourselves. And so if you show up that way, then people are going to treat you how you show up.
I like that. So one of the things you started to talk about is that external look, and but also internal. So when you talk about, we know how sometimes the physical appearance, but what about physical health?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to physical health and self-love, it can be challenging again to prioritize that, and with busy schedules, and you're so busy trying to, I know for me, I set all the kids uh doctor appointments, their annuals, their dentist, and then next thing you know, 2 years go by and I'm like, oh, did I do my physical? They
Yeah.
sending me a notice, ma'am, you have not.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to preserve your physical health as part of loving yourself?
It's widely important, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't be there for our families. I mean, we have to put ourselves back on our own priority list. We don't have to be first, but we have to be at the top. We have to go to our own doctor's visits, our family doctor, OBGYN, dentist, eye doctor. We have to do all of those things to make sure our physical bodies are maintaining themselves and trying to stay as healthy as possible. I mean, eat in moderation. I love a good piece of soul food, but I don't eat it every day. Just doing things to maintain your body physically. And that could be, having 3 kids. We grew up, it wasn't always a full cooked meal. It could be some chicken nuggets and some tater tots, or, something real easy. Or, if you can afford it, order food if you can, or if you can afford someone to come over and help you clean your house. There are different things that we can do to take that physical load off of ourselves when we're, as a wife and a mom. Sometimes even order your groceries instead of going to the store and lugging all of that stuff home, on your own. Or I love Amazon. Amazon loves me. Order from Amazon.
Mutual relationship.
So, build those relationships to the point where around Christmas time, I do put out snacks and drinks, because there's a lot of packages coming to my house. I mean, there are things that we can do to take care of ourselves. Going to the doctor, listen to your doctor, what the doctor is, recommending for you. But rely on these services that we have now with technology, with ordering groceries, ordering food, order a food service where the meals pretty much prepared. All you have to do is fix a little bit. But there are things that we can do to take that physical load off of ourselves, so we're better available and equipped to care for our families.
Yeah, I started using a food service. I kind of paused it recently because we had vacations and so forth. But yeah, I hear you there, because for me, having the physical stuff in your face, the physical load in your face, like having to clean up, having to wash clothes, and having to do all these things, we juggle it and we do it. But, when there's a question of, what do you want for your birthday? I'm like, can we get a spa treatment?
Right.
Um, my birthday is coming up and I am seriously thinking about, can I get a housekeeper for a day? Because yeah, let's do that. The gifts, the things that I want now as I'm older are a lot different from
Yes.
before. A good pair of pumps and a two-piece might have been good back in the day. Now is those things that are considered luxury items,
Mm-hmm.
or those social items, like, yes, spa, housekeeper, food delivery, all those things. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm here for it. Bring it on.
Yes.
Because if it gets too heavy on the head, that's physical. You can physically get stressed just
Yes.
thinking
Mm-hmm.
about all the work that you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Take the
And
cape
sometimes,
off.
right, it's okay. I'm going to hang this cape up and I'm going to let somebody else do that for today. Okay. So I totally get that. And as I mentioned, just thinking about those things sometimes can really become a weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so that brings me to mental health, right? Mental health is the cornerstone of self care, yet it's often the most overlooked. We don't think about the thoughts, we don't think
Mm-hmm.
about the things that are in our heads. So, Suzette, what are some key strategies that we can use to maintain our mental health, especially when life seems to be a little overwhelming and we're not getting to that self love?
I always tell people to participate in your own rescue. Don't wait for someone else to come and get you and save you and understand, oh, I need help, I need help. But we have to make sure that we participate in our own rescue by, first of all, if we need help, ask for it. Don't think that we have to do everything on our own. And a lot of times it's important that we heal from our past and current trauma, because bitterness and unforgiveness left unchecked, it will fester, grow, and spread. And we have to heal so that way we don't bleed out on our family. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone comes with their own set of issues, problems, problems don't have a certain place where they want to land. Everyone has their own set of individual things that they go through. And as a wife in particular, I need to make a point that it's not our husband's job to heal us. And a
Mm.
lot of times wives put that responsibility on their husband. I mean, yes, they can participate in it. They can help you. They can pray, pray for you, help you take some of the load off of, responsibilities and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to, make sure that we're healing ourselves, get a coach to help you, formulate a plan so you can move forward. There are a lot of things that we can do to make sure that we keeping our mental health where it needs to be. Another thing we can do is we can create boundaries with everyone. Your coworkers are your coworkers. Everyone's not your friend. Sometimes people are just associates, and sometimes they're just people that you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes, they don't have a place, but we have to learn how to place people where they belong and not allow ourselves to just let anyone have access to our space. We have to learn to guard our peace as well with our mental health, because on your journey to healing, and we all need to do it, regardless of, whether we think we do or not, but everyone has something that they need to heal from. We also need to surround ourselves with other women who are committed to their journey of healing. A lot of times when you get in a circle of women who are trying to participate in their own rescue, the conversations are different. Their perspective on life is different. Those women will talk about building their lives, helping others, and creating legacy for their family. They move different and they have different, perspectives on things. There's oftentimes not a lot of gossip. There's not a lot of complaining because they're on their own journey. They don't have time to, go left and be negative, because when you're trying to heal, you really got to focus. And
Yeah.
it's important that we don't leave in all of the self-care and self-love and everything that we want to talk about for a wife and a mom. The mental health is the biggest part that we have to focus ourselves in, because I love to get my nails done. I can go get a pedicure, go shopping, massage, facial, all of that. But all of that is temporary.
Mm.
And, when that's over, what are you going to do? When you come back from the salon or you've done with the facial, you still have to think about your thoughts. You're still left with you. So you
Mhm.
have to participate in your own rescue of healing your past trauma. And a lot of times when we could do it on our own, we would all just be walking around with so much joy, it wouldn't, even be funny. But you oftentimes will need help because someone else needs to, look on the outside of you and be able to listen to you, hear what you're saying and point out some things. Maybe look at this, or maybe take this as a different perspective. But that mental health piece is the one of the biggest, I would say the biggest piece that we really need to focus on. And the next thing I would say is you definitely don't be afraid to create a smaller circle of people. You definitely don't want to be the person that everybody in the circle is relying on you, because you're going to burn yourself out.
Okay.
You need to get around people who know more than you, people who can speak into your hurt, people who can, pull you out of where you are. You can't be the only person always pulling, helping everybody get up. Another point that I would point out is that we have to remember that our joy depends 100% on us. We
Mhm.
can't look to our spouses, our kids, pastor, whoever it is in your life to help you find your own joy. That's on you. And how you choose to, whether you're not, happiness, joy. I say joy because happiness often comes with temporal things.
Mhm.
It sometimes doesn't stay, but once you receive joy, that's something that you can always rely on. I mean, as we say, the joy of the Lord is our strength, literally, oftentimes. Another thing I would say is be gentle with you as you're trying to heal, because there's only one you. So you have to take the time to, figure out who you are outside of being a wife and a mom, because those are hats that we can take on and take off. But before we got married, before we became a mom, we had our own dreams. So a lot of times you got to go back and pick that dream up and say, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
put some action to this and let's move forward with it, because your kids are going to grow up. We have one left. So what are you going to do? I always wanted to be a mom, poured everything I had into being a mother. But at the end of the day, you can't forget about you, and you
That's
can't give everything to everyone else and then you're left depleted. So that mental health piece really is the biggest piece that we have to continuously focus on and really put a lot of effort into. And like I said before, self-care is not just about stuff, because what if you can't get the stuff? What if you can't have access to go and get the things that you think make you feel better? I mean, went through COVID, things were shut down. I mean, we can get this stuff, delivered to us and stuff like that. But, we really have to focus on our mental health
Yeah.
And in marriage, I would definitely say I believe that healing, comes from a lot of times through touch, through hugs, through cuddles, through making sure that you keep that physical connection with your family members, your husband, of course, as a wife, a mom with her kids. I mean, you got to make sure that you are focused on you. And it's not selfish to focus on you because you have to do that in order to show up for everybody else. You have to. And I think every husband would buy into his wife taking the opportunity to not do housework or not cook. But if she takes a moment just to breathe, to focus on her, I know when our kids were younger, my husband would know if I go in the bedroom and shut the door, she need a minute. Just give her a minute. She gonna come back out. Everything gonna be all right. But focus on your mental health. It really is so important in your journey of self care and self loving yourself.
Thank you so much for sharing. There you have it, folks. Self love and marital bliss, essential self care for wives and busy moms, with our special guest, Miss Suzette Gaines, founder of Centered on Love. And I told you if you stayed to the end, she would have something for you. And can you tell us what you have for the audience today, Suzette?
What I would love to do is gift us a couple with a free coaching session where I would sit down and we would go through, whatever it is that they're dealing with. They give me some background about themselves and really just be able to help someone else along their journey. I would love to just give that out to the first couple who would be willing to, allow me to help, basically.
All right. So if you are a married woman in our group and you would like to get the services and let's just so you know, you don't have to have a coaching session with Suzette Gaines if you only have problems. You don't, it does not have to be all about problems. If there's just something that you guys wanted to discuss, if there's some questions that you had about, your marriage in ways that you can do some conflict resolution or some strategies on how you can build up intimacy or relationship. These are all things that you can speak about. Please don't just say, I'm not going to put my name or say, or raise your hand or say coaching session in the comment because you think that you don't have any problems. So you don't need to speak to Suzette. Listen, she's here. Go ahead and get her ear while you can. The first person to respond in the comments, we will make sure we reach out to you and get that session set up. But in the interim, we are going to ask our quick three, which we normally do at the end of our show. And Miss Suzette, if you can just answer the question, the first thing that comes to your mind, that would be great. And then we will get ready to close out this show. All right, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Spring or fall?
Fall.
A good red lipstick or clear lip gloss?
Good red lipstick.
All right, you heard it here, folks. This is Suzette. She loves tea and fall, and she does not mind spotlighting a red lipstick on that beautiful face. All right, so thank you all for joining us today for the Mom Live Show, making of a Mompreneur Show. And until next time.